Welcome in. Take a seat and grab a drink because when I put out my last video about AI, I expected to get some of the usual tech bros in the comments, but what I didn't expect was to get all of them. The comment section was like that one Smash Bros trailer. And you know what? These AI prompters were feeling so confident and righteous about their AI generated images when all of a sudden,
two major studios have sued an AI startup.
Disney and NBC Universal, which is CNBC's parent company, are filing a joint suit against AI company Midjourney, alleging copyright infringement.
The complaint accuses the AI image generation company of systematically exploiting some of the most famous intellectual properties in the world.
They're calling Midjourney a, quote, bottomless pit of plagiarism.
Now, I read through the entire legal notice from Disney and Universal, and let me tell you guys, it's not looking good for AI. Now, I'm not saying that AI is going to cease to exist, but it's looking like there's a chance that we can get some regulation here. So let's go through the tantrums of AI's biggest bootlickers before going over generative AI's greatest challenger yet. When photography came out, the artists screamed it was the end of art. When TV came out, it was said it was the end of movies. When Photoshop came out, see a pattern here? All this to say, get over yourself, Junior. This argument was the most common one that I heard. Well, this one and the one I'll go over next, but we'll get to that. Some comments even brought up how horses were replaced by cars, but most of these comments were about how photography caused an uproar in the art community. And you know what? They're right. Yes, cars disrupted the horse carriage industry, and photography disrupted portrait paintings. And not one artist would ever claim that AI images aren't disrupting the creative field as a whole. So what's the issue? There's a couple issues, actually. First, horses are not trying to pass themselves off as cars. And photography isn't trying to pass itself off as oil paintings. But people like this jabroni are very much trying to pass off their generated images as traditional art. He's the guy who snuck into an art competition without disclosing that he AI generated his submission beforehand. AI prompters know what they're doing and how it's perceived, and so they lie, cheat, and steal as much as they can. But that's not all. Cars and horses can exist in their own spaces without the necessity for the other. Cars are not trained by horses. That's not what horsepower means, people. And when you take a photo, it doesn't require millions of stolen paintings to develop it. Photography can exist just fine without the existence of paintings, and vice versa. All art, all photography, and all video can all exist just fine without the existence of artificial intelligence. But generative AI does not function without copyrighted work, period. And don't take my word for it, because the CEO of OpenAI said as much himself. It would be impossible to train today's leading AI models without using copyrighted materials. That's my guess on what he sounds like. That's my guess on what all AI people sound like. And if you don't believe him, let's ask CEO of Midjourney and Wallace's Web 3.0 cousin, David Holes. Did you seek consent from living artists or work still under copyright? No. There isn't really a way to get 100 million images and know where they're coming from.
Oh my God, he admitted!
I honestly can't believe they said the quiet part out loud. We all knew it, but they just confirmed it for us all. The outrage for generative AI isn't just because it's displacing countless jobs. It's because the tool displacing these artists can only exist by stealing the work from those very same people. And for the AI defenders that claim that AI is learning in the same way a human does, give me a break. Give me a break. Even calling it learning straight up feels like AI company propaganda.
Our clanker overlords learn in the same way our toddlers learn. How is a Luddite 4-year-old who looks at a cat and says, "Kitty, any different from President Midjourney, glory to her name, filtering 10 million JPEGs through a multidimensional hypersphere to remove Gaussian noise using statistical probabilities? It's the same thing, Luddites."
I'm not against progress so long as it's ethical, which I've been saying since day one. Still better than a banana taped to the wall. The AI bros love to bring up that banana. I can't tell if they love the banana or fear the banana. If the banana stands in their way or is their ally, their angel or their devil. They're talking, of course, about Maurizio Catalan's Comedian. These comments all read like, hey, if that banana's art, then AI should be held in the same regard, while also saying that contemporary art is worthless. You realize that if we considered generative AI as an art form, it would be categorized under contemporary art, right? You're trashing the thing that you get this, right? Many of these defenders have begun using Marcel Duchamp's fountain in their defense as well. You know, when I was in college, I had to take an art history class, and we were all so bored that a bunch of us started playing Minecraft during class on our laptops. If only AI existed back then, right? The AI tech bros would have been like so freaking into it that the professor wouldn't have had to ban laptops from the classroom. For a quick history lesson, Duchamp was a French painter and sculptor of the early 20th century. He created several works, including Nude Descending a Staircase, a painting that garnered criticism from cubists and critics. And Teddy Roosevelt for some reason. In true bull moose fashion, Teddy compared his Navajo rug to Duchamp's painting and said that the Navajo rug is infinitely ahead of the picture. In a full-on FU to the art world, Duchamp submitted a signed urinal to an exhibition. It wasn't any sort of serious attempt at art. It was a middle finger to the art world. The exhibition refused to display it, and that story made the piece infamous when it was photographed in a photographer's studio. When you look at Fountain in its totality, you realize that the urinal is not really the art here. It's the story and meaning behind submitting a urinal in the first place. Fountain being rejected is what made it so famous. What is the bare minimum to qualify as art? What even is art? And if I'm being real with y'all, they all just don't hit the same. That's right. I'm putting the whole art world on blast here. Comedian sucks. It's just the same thing that Fountain did, but wrapped up in a banana peel. We already challenged these ideas, these same exact ideas. And so it just comes off as this uninspired cash grab. These prompters are using the banana taped to the wall in their arguments as if all artists love it. Don't worry, I think it sucks just as much as you do. Intent just doesn't cut it for me anymore. When AI fans defend their images by saying they wrote the prompt and thus they had the intent, and that intent is all that matters, all I see is them twisting Duchamp's original message to fit the artistic equivalent of using a microwave to heat up a Hot Pocket and calling yourself a chef. And if AI prompters want generative AI to be part of the art world, then they shouldn't be so thin-skinned when people challenge them. Some who get challenged become recognized artists, while others are dismissed and never taken seriously again. So maybe me criticizing Morgane Soulier's New York Bites will turn her into the next Duchamp. Or maybe I and the rest of society just have a point here, and your AI-generated images just don't hold the artistic merit you insist it does. This one was actually one of the funniest arguments to me. These people had no issue throwing poor Morgane Soulier from my first video straight under the bus. Come on, mate. AI is a tool. She was an easy prey. You can be an artist even if you use AI. I mean, she is an artist, but just not a good one. This is the same group of people that are telling me that I'm not the judge of what is and isn't art, while also telling me that art is subjective as a defense. Dude, I know that art is subjective. That's why I made the video in the first place. Is art only subjective when you deem AI images to be art, but not when I think it isn't? It works both ways, dummies. Some clankers have attacked me for the crime of going against AI while owning plushies. Imagine talking about AI being a brain rot while sitting next to Pokemon, a gambling game made for kids. They've been crashing out in my comments section for months, but they recently claimed that they've been an artist this whole time for over 20 years. I couldn't find their artwork when I looked them up, but I did find their account on an AI website that shows not just the images they made, but the prompts they typed in too, and cleavage, busty, sexy, Michelle Yeoh gets a lot of likes because she looks so sexy. Beautiful Egyptian woman from 1479 selfie of a man named handsome, but not too handsome. Dude, you have a problem, dude. Imagine if the chocolate bar whisper was actually a... Now I know why he's defending AI so much. He's defending his 100 AI girlfriends. But he wasn't the only one claiming generative AI could be good, so let's see what others are saying. My AI video art is cutting edge. Proof here on my YouTube. All right, well, if they say it's cutting edge. Oh God, what the? Oh. 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 I can't close my eyes. It won't shut. I can't close them. I can't close them. I can't close them. Lots of defenders like to pull this one out in an attempt to get the moral high ground. These comments often come across as them using a marginalized group that they're not even a part of as a shield against criticism. I have my own thoughts, which I will get into, but I also didn't want to do the same thing that these people are doing and speak on behalf of disabled artists as someone who is able-bodied. Now, completely by chance, I got a comment on my last video from another YouTuber named Phoenix Barfus. I decided to ask for her thoughts as someone with lived experience as a disabled artist.
Hey there, I'm Phoenix, I'm 19 years old, and I was born with a rare form of muscular dystrophy, and I've been doing art my whole life, and I'm strongly against generative AI. There are people out there claiming you can't be against AI. What about the disabled people who can't create art? So they're claiming that it's ableist to be against AI. Okay, guess I'm ableist all of a sudden then.
She's not wrong. People love to cry ableism as a defense for AI. I mean, let's look at this argument. I don't understand the hate for AI art. AI is a medium. Imagine if Picasso had no hands and thus no way to translate his thoughts to canvas. Would that make him less of an artist? Consider someone disabled who can only communicate through voice. What are you doing to Picasso, man? Stop. Stop. I asked Phoenix if she'd be comfortable sharing her thoughts on this as an artist with a disability.
While my disability may affect my muscles, make me a bit weaker, it does not affect my mobility, so using my hand to draw has never been an issue.
Now, I can already hear the counter arguments for this because I've seen them in the comments already. This sounds like I'm handicapped, but I get around on my hands just fine. I support the people who are against wheelchairs. I get their logic here because it's something that I've put a lot of thought into myself. I worried that I was supporting the removal of a tool that helps disabled artists. At first I thought winning a foot race with a race car doesn't mean you're a runner. Different people have different limitations, and there are things that people are just unable to do. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that. But it still didn't really sit right with me, and I worried that I was coming off insensitive, so I talked to Phoenix about it. And here's what really changed my mind on all of this.
Even those with more debilitating disabilities than mine can adapt. The awesome thing about disabled people is that we can adapt. I've seen videos of people painting with their feet, with their mouths. I'm sure that there are even more techniques that I haven't seen yet. It's actually the ableist thing to assume disabled people can't create art.
It's just so well said. If a disabled artist wants to create art, I have no doubt that they can adapt and find a way within their abilities. But let's also not confuse adapting with substituting. Using AI to create images for you is not adapting. It's just a substitution that allows anyone to generate an image. She lastly had this to say about AI prompters speaking on behalf of the disabled community.
From what I've seen, the people using these defenses aren't even disabled. Don't use disabled people to defend something terrible. It especially makes me upset because I feel like ableism is like so low on the list of things being brought attention to already. So for this to be the one time I see it publicly being talked about is disgusting. Do not pretend to care about us, okay? If I seem bitter, I am. Disabled people are expected to be positive all the time. But nobody can be positive all the time, so why should disabled people be expected to? Disabilities, they all have their varying struggles, but don't assume. Just ask us as individuals. How about you let us talk about that ourselves? And please do not speak on our behalf. Thank you.
It's really that simple. I asked for her perspective, and she was so helpful with this part of the video. Look, nobody would ever say that disabled artists shouldn't have tools that help them create art. But AI prompters comparing their little chat box to freaking wheelchairs is so disingenuous. You do not need to scrape the entirety of the internet to use a wheelchair. Wheelchairs are not made from millions of shamelessly stolen pieces. Wheelchairs aren't created in factories that use more energy than most countries on Earth use in a year. Wheelchairs aren't consuming water at unsustainable rates. AI isn't some cool magic paintbrush that allows disabled people to finally create art. This might blow people's minds, but disabled people have been creating art for as long as able-bodied people have been. AI is not a cool tool, it's theft. Plain and simple. And frankly, I don't even see how these AI companies have not been sued yet by these mega corporations like Disney. Disney and Universal filed a joint lawsuit versus Midjourney for direct copyright infringement. I mean, everyone saw this coming, right? When Disney senses any sort of threat to their IP, they bust out the lawsuits.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
I looked through the lawsuit for this video so that you don't have to comb through a 143-page document.
Midjourney is the quintessential copyright-free rider and a bottomless pit of plagiarism. Haha!
Disney and Universal show examples of Midjourney's blatant copyright theft over and 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 over again. It's an exhaustive, damning 30 pages of the lawsuit, and they don't even stop there. They presented the fact that Midjourney generated images of their copyrighted work even when the prompt didn't include the names of the characters. No, that's not The Simpsons. No. You thought that was Simpsons? That's not The Simpsons. That is popular 90s animated cartoon with yellow skin. It's totally different. This wholly original AI image is titled Man in Robes with Light Sword. Hey man, frame that bad boy right in Agora Gallery. They love AI. They love it. They actually still defend it. More on that later. I'm not done with them. And speaking of galleries, one part of the lawsuit goes over Midjourney's Explore page. And here's where I think Midjourney really messed up. I didn't know about this, so maybe you don't either. Midjourney publicly displays already generated images on a gallery page on their website. Disney and Universal claim that the Explore page is intended to advertise Midjourney's ability to infringe the copyrighted works. And if you think about it for a second, it 100% is. Nobody is going onto the gallery page to look up generated images of whatever the heck this is. They're all looking up, say it with me, Pregnant Shrek and Sonic. Thank you. Well, Pregnant Shrek and Sonic and this Mark Zuckerberg that was on their front page for some reason. Okay, what the is up with AI lovers and slugs? Is there a Venn diagram that I'm gonna wish I didn't see? Disney and Universal give almost 20 pages worth of examples of this alleged theft, including our boy Chewbacca, who not only had images of him distributed, but also had his belfie, that's a butt selfie, blasted across the internet. I mean, come on. That's from Chewie's private stash. Disney and Universal end the lawsuit by saying, hey, we know that you can prevent this and you choose not to. In addition, we both contacted you telling you to stop and you ignored us. So here we are. In the lawsuit, they also brought up that golden David Holz quote. There isn't really a way to get 100 million. You don't have to say it again, David. In fact, I bet you wish that you never said it at all. Yeah. It sounds like Disney and Universal are serious about putting real legal guardrails on generative AI until you get to the end where they outline their requests. In it, they basically request Midjourney to immediately cease making copies of any Disney works, unless and until Midjourney is granted an express license to do so. And this is where we remember that Disney is Disney. This lawsuit could very well be a landmark case in ethical generative AI. Or it could be Disney strong-arming Midjourney into paying them for a license to use their work, at which point Disney and Universal just tell everyone else that's affected, hey, you're on your own. We got our bag. But here's why I don't think they'll do that. While I'm sure that they could strong-arm Midjourney into settling, that really only cuts off one head of the Hydra. I think Disney and Universal chose to specifically go after Midjourney because they're a smaller AI company that has less resources to win. And if Disney and Universal win, they'll establish a legal precedent with this case. That would give them ammo for any future litigation and pave the way for actual regulation. So it seems like the rest of the world is waking up to what all of us have known for years now. Now, if only we can get these guys to wake up too. One comment in my last video compared AI prompters to tourists, and I honestly thought that was such a perfect direct label for them. The people who committed pump and dump crypto schemes are the same ones who jumped onto the NFT scams in 2021. And all those NFT grifters from 2021, they're the same exact people that now hail generative AI as the future of art. It's easy to see NFTs and AI as the future of art when you weren't part of the art world up until the point you were able to profit off of it. But that doesn't make you an artist. You're just jumping into the latest bubble that's making you a quick buck before it bursts. And you'll regurgitate any argument that lets you keep going just a little bit longer. You don't care about art. You don't care about disabled creators. You don't care about art history, the environment, or even ethics. All you care about is yourself. Just own it. So if I had to say one last thing, it would be for artists not to be afraid of speaking out. Don't be silenced by the cries of hating progress. Like I said in my last video, I think there could be a world with ethical AI, but that world does not involve the theft of millions of people's work. That world does not use fossil fuels and drain cities of their water supply, all for your freak slug videos and AI girlfriends. Sure, AI might be here, but that doesn't mean it can't be regulated. If you liked the video, I hope you consider subscribing. Thanks again to Phoenix Barfuss. You can check her channel out in the description. And feel free to join my sticker club on Patreon. That's it. Thanks for watching.
Hello?
Do you want to help me eat 50 bananas?
Oh, no.
Okay.